How to become great at answering interview questions. In this video, I'm going to cover the 4-step framework for how to become great at answering interview questions, exactly what it says in the tin. Just before we get into it, let me just introduce myself. My name's Owen. I'm a degree apprentice. This 4-step framework I'm going to teach you is what I use to get myself 8 degree apprenticeship offers, and it's also what I've used to help my students. So I basically help people get degree apprenticeships in the engineering, technology, and finance industries. Here are some of my students who have used this 4-step framework: JLR, KPMG, Amazon, Bank of England, who's this one, IBM, HSBC, JLR, Rolls-Royce, a whole bunch of students who I've helped over the past year or so get into these degree apprenticeships, and that's going to be teaching in this video. So let's get straight into it then. How to become great at answering interview questions. 4-step framework. The first thing is to plan out answers to the common questions. Okay, so when you're thinking about, okay, I want a degree apprenticeship, you're going to have to do an interview. Usually an interview is going to be the last stage. They're going to have a final interview, but they also might have a video interview before that, for example. Like interviews you need to be able to do. If you can't do interviews, you're not going to get a degree apprenticeship offer. It's simple as that, okay? Plan out answers to the common questions. Okay, Owen, what are the common questions? Well, perfect. So I'm going to help you out. So I've got a list of common interview questions which they might ask you in degree apprenticeships. So this document here, I'm going to put it in the description. So you can go to the description, click the link, it'll take you to this page, and this has a list of a whole bunch of different interview questions. Okay. So step 1 is plan out answers to the common questions, okay? So if you want to become great at these interview questions, you're going to have to put this work in. You're going to have to come to here, and for each of these questions, okay, because these are really common questions, you're going to want to plan out what you're going to say. Okay, tell me about yourself. You write a few bullet points, right? Work out what you're going to say, work out what you're going to say. Okay, why do you want this role? Work out what you're going to say, work out what you're going to say, work out what you're going to say. If you don't do this preparation, it means you're going to jump into one of these interviews and they're going to ask you a question like, what's your biggest weakness? Guaranteed you're not going to be able to think of a good answer on the spot. Okay, what achievement are you most proud of? Your mind's going to go blank, right? What do you like doing during your spare time? Tell me about a time when you learned from a mistake. If you haven't prepared for that question, you're probably not going to be able to think of something on the spot. If you do think of something on the spot, it's probably not going to be as good as it could have been. Which is why, although this is a long list, okay, it's good to go through these. Okay, because these are some of the most common questions they might ask you. It's good to go through these and make sure you have basic answers planned for every single one. Okay? The next thing is, after you've sort of planned those out for every single one, you've got bullet points. It's now a case of learning your answers through practice. And when I say learning your answers, that means memorizing them. Okay, because what I see a lot of people do is they'll write out their scripts, so they'll get a Notion document like this one. They'll have their questions, they'll write down their little things they want to say. Okay, cool, things they want to say. They'll go into an interview and they'll have this document in front of them. Okay, so maybe it's a video interview, they're on Microsoft Teams or on Zoom or something, and just in another tab they have a document like this. So they're waiting for the question, the interviewer asks them a question. Okay, Owen, why do you want to do a degree apprenticeship? Boom, scroll down. They'll look here, they'll see the notes they've already written, so this will already be written. They'll scroll down, and then they'll just read that, and then they'll 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 read that. I don't recommend that. A lot of people do it these days because this is the easy way to do it. And it's even easier with like ChatGPT. ChatGPT answers to the question, copy and paste, put it in this document. You could fill out, if you wanted to, this whole document, you could fill out in the space of 10 minutes. Just ChatGPT every answer, put it in here. And then in your interview, use it as a script. But I don't recommend that because there's a couple of problems for that. Number one is, if you are using the script, when they ask you a question and you start reading off the script, it's going to be so robotic. So robotic. When I jump on interview like coaching calls with people, I can just tell who's using a script and who's not using a script. Because there's the visual clues of the people who aren't using a script are able to maintain eye contact with that camera, and that's really engaging. Okay? But the people who are using a script, it's, okay, your eyes are down here all the time. Your eyes are down here and they're literally scanning left to right. Like you can see your eyes scanning left to right as they go through that script. Okay, it's very obvious. But not just from a visual perspective, from an auditory perspective as well. Because when you're reading off something, it's just so robotic. It's so robotic. It's like, what do you know about this role? What do you know about this company? What are your strengths? What is your biggest strength? What is your biggest weakness? What do you expect to be the biggest challenge in this role? See how robotic that sounds? I'm just reading lines off the script. But let me, for example, just start listing questions off the top of my head. Tell me about a time when you want to work with a team. Tell me about a time when you're a leader. What would you do if someone was being difficult? What's the biggest challenge you expect to face? Do you see how I was saying the same things there, but when I was reading off questions, it just sounded all sort of monotonous and robotic. When I was thinking of questions in my head, it sounded good. And it's the exact same with your interview answers. If you're reading off your script, the reason I want to do a degree apprenticeship is because of the experience. I read about how your company gives good projects to its new degree apprentices. It's going to sound so robotic and monotonous compared to, yeah, so one of the reasons I want to work for your company is because of the research I did on the experience. So when I was looking through your website, I learned how last year you were giving first-year degree apprentices work on projects such as the new electric vehicle. Yeah, just saying it like that, when it's, rather than being scripted, you're formulating and articulating it in your head as you speak. It just makes it so much more engaging. Okay, and it's just going to give it a better energy to your interview answers. It's going to make a real difference. It's going to make a real difference. That's reason number one why you don't just want to script it, because it will look bad and it'll sound bad. The second reason is, okay, well, what happens when they ask a different question which is not on the script? What do you do then? Because the problem is that's what happens. When you rely on a script, you can only do questions on the script. Which is why when I teach my students, I don't teach them to read anything off a script. Like, anyone can read anything off a script. I teach them to learn how to, I teach them to be good in interviews. I teach that interview skill. And those are the people who are going to do better, because there's always going to be these common questions. Okay, we can prepare for a lot of them, but there's still always going to be these difficult questions, these random questions which come up, right? If you've only ever used a script, that's all you can use. You are nothing but the script. You are nothing without the script. Then when that random question comes up, you're going to be completely stuck because you're out your depth. You're completely out of your depth. You underestimated it, right? Because you're just based on the script. But if you're used to not using a script, it's going to develop that critical thinking skills, develop those interview skills, develop those communication skills, develop those skills of coming up with something on the spot, which means when they give you an unexpected question, you are much better at dealing with it. So if right now you struggle with coming up with answers to unexpected questions, it might be because you're relying on your script too much, which means you're good with the script, not with anything else. Similarly, if you rely on the script, it means you can misread questions wrong. So, for example, let's say you're used to the question, what are your strengths? Okay, what are your strengths? And they ask a question which is, what is your one biggest strength? Okay, why can I not delete this? Right, if you're used to the question, what are your strengths? And you've listed a couple of things like strength 1, strength 2, strength 3. What if they ask you, what is your biggest strength? Sometimes you don't hear that. And genuinely, that sounds stupid, right? So what do you mean sometimes you don't hear it? Sometimes people just zone in on the question which is most similar. I find this with people who use a script. Rather than actually listening to the question, they just zone in on a question that seems similar. So they might start giving this answer to, what are your strengths? Well, unlucky, mate, you've just answered the wrong question, because the question, what is your one biggest strength? Similarly, I might ask a question, why do you want this role, right? Or why do you want to work for this company? And they might zone in on the wrong question, but they might have only scripted, why do you want this role? They come in on this question. There is a slight difference. So you can end up answering the wrong question because you're not thinking about the question that's asked. You're just thinking, okay, which one of my script lines up? Which one of my script lines up? And you're not listening. That's why I don't recommend a script. I seriously do not recommend a script. It might seem easier. It is easier. It doesn't seem easier. It is easier. But someone else is probably going to get the job instead of you. So it's like, you can be lazy if you want, or you can actually put the effort in if you want to get a degree apprenticeship. Up to you. I don't care. Okay. So basically, learn your answers through practice. You're basically practicing these answers. You're going through them until you can, without notes, give your answer. Why do you want to do a degree apprenticeship? Boom. Why did you apply for this role? Boom. What's your strength? Boom. Tell me about time when you work as a team? Boom. What would you do if you're working with a difficult colleague? Boom. What do you think about artificial intelligence? Boom. Right. What do you know about quantum computing? Boom. It's all there. It's all there. No script, no notes required. That's the next step. Okay. Then once you've done that, once you actually have those answers pretty well memorized, so you don't need to rely on any notes, you sort of just know what you're doing in your head, you then move on to perfecting your answers and perfecting your delivery. Okay. People focus at the very start on trying to have perfect answers and perfect delivery. But you can't focus on this until you've actually learned your answers, okay? Because if you haven't learned your answers, your delivery is going to be shocking anyway, because you're just going to be reading off a script. And if you're reading off a script, that's the biggest issue there. There's nothing more that I can tell you to improve your delivery. It's get off the script. Once you're off the script, now we can start looking at body language, eye contact, tone, pacing, energy, right? Because with a script, it just destroys everything about your delivery. Like, there's two sides of interviews. Your answers and what you say, your delivery, how you say it, how you come across. When you're looking at a script, your delivery is shot. Your delivery is awful. So once you've memorized it, you're not using a script, then we'll focus on your delivery. Similarly, your answers. I can't give you feedback on how to perfect your answers if you haven't even scripted them out yet. Not scripted out, if you haven't bullet pointed them out, if you haven't planned them, right? If you don't even know what you're going to say, like I can't help you perfect your answers if you don't have any ideas of what you're saying, because then you don't have an answer, in which case I have nothing to give you feedback on. Okay? So basically my students, I do sort of interview calls with them. Okay? We do like mock interviews, coaching calls anywhere they need help. This bit I can help them with, okay? If they're struggling with what to say, I can help them with here. Okay, I've got a full course. I've got a bunch of group call recordings where we've been through all of these questions so many times. You can just watch those, find out, okay, this is the perfect way to answer them. You can watch all of those. So in my sort of coaching program, we cover that with the course content and with the group calls. Okay, this one you have to do yourself. As I said, I can't learn it for you. You just have to memorize it. And then this is where we can jump on a sort of coaching call, and we can go through a bunch of questions, and that's when I can give you feedback on your answers and delivery. So you've already learned them, you've already memorized them, you're now in a good place to do a coaching call, and then we'll hop on that coaching call, and then I'll help you perfect your answers and your delivery. That's what I do with my students. Okay? And then once we've perfected your answers, perfected your delivery, got you to a point where you're a top 1% candidate in terms of your interviews, then it's just about going and nailing the final interview. And that's just about putting what we've talked about, what we've discussed, how I've helped you into practice, and that final thing. Okay, again, I can't be in this interview for you, so this is where all the preparation has to come together. Okay, you've been putting in the work, the confidence is there because you've done the amount of practice, you remember everything you're saying, you're handling the nerves well. Again, this is something I help out with the course that I have, with like how to handle those nerves, what exactly to do in in-person assessment centres and virtual assessment centres and all that sort of thing. Okay, so this is like the 4-step framework I teach my students within my coaching program. Plan out your answers to the common questions, and I've got that document in the description. Go click on that and start planning out for all those questions. You guys want to be ready for every single one of those. Then you got to put the hours in. You got to go and practice it. Okay, I put the hours in. I got 8 degree apprenticeship offers. Olamide, some of you might have seen him. He's a student who I helped last year. He, before his HSBC interviews, he spent 3 days in a row, 8 hours a day practicing the questions, 24 hours. Okay, boom. Okay, then once you've actually learnt them to a decent, like you know them, then we'll work on focusing on perfecting your answers and perfecting your delivery. Boom, then you can go nail the final delivery. Okay, so for anyone who knows they have interviews coming up, they didn't really know how to prepare or how to approach them, this is the framework to follow. So your action step right now is work out where you're at. If you've not even started, then you need to start with that document, that link in the description, and start planning out your answers to those common questions. If you've got those planned out, like you have a script, like you have a full Notion document, which has a bunch of answers sort of bullet pointed out, scripted out, whatever, okay, a lot of you might actually be here. Okay, like I'm actually going to predict a lot of you are in this point here. You've planned out some of the answers, but you just have this script. But if you were to go into an interview with me right now, you would need that script. If you didn't have that script, you'd really struggle. That means you're at this place right now. And if you're at this place right now, probably about 90% of people are going to stay at this place. Okay? Out of the people who are here, 90% are going to stay, right? And then 10% are going to push forward. A lot of degree apprenticeships, it's top 3%, top 2%, top 1% of people who are going to get the job, right? So you want to be one of these people who are pushing forward. You've got your script, but don't stop there. Yeah, I know it's difficult, but it's just a couple of months of hard work. Learn those answers. You can do it in a couple of weeks. Okay? A couple of weeks. I mean, I don't know, man. Depends how quick you are on learning things, but you can get that done. Learn them. And that's when with my students, usually I hop on a call with them and focus on perfecting their answers and delivery. So if you are part of my coaching program, boom, that's what we'll go and do there. Okay? I think my coaching program is full at the moment. If you want to register interest, you can go and click the link in the description because there is a waiting list. If you are interested in my helping you get offers from companies like Amazon, JLR, KPMG. We've already got 2 students into Deloitte this year. So yeah, if you want to join the waiting list, you can go and click the link in the description. Once we've perfected your answers and delivery, go and nail that final interview. Okay, so hope this video has helped. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you do want to sign up for the waiting list for my coaching program, just go click the link in the description. You just have to fill out your email, and just means I can contact you when there are spaces available. Okay, hope this really helped. Take care, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.